You've cycled hundreds of miles, climbed hills, crushed your workouts, and yet the scale keeps going up. What the hell is going on? Here's the brutal truth the cycling industry won't tell you. Most riders are training harder and gaining weight faster. It's not your fault. It's the way you've been told to train. You've been sold gear, gadgets, and carb gels, but not results. And while you're burning out trying to ride more, you're actually making it harder to lose weight. But what if I told you that cycling can actually be one of the most effective fat-burning tools on the planet if you stop doing it the way most people do? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why your current cycling strategy is backfiring and how a smarter, science-backed approach has helped our clients lose 10, 20, even 25 pounds while getting faster on the bike. No starvation diet, no 12-hour training week, just simple, proven methods that work, especially for busy men over 40 with limited time and zero room for guesswork. Mark, 45 years old, lost 18 pounds in 12 weeks and boosted his FTP by 15 watts. David, 50, dropped 25 pounds and finished his first century ride with gas left in the tank. Michael trained just 5 hours a week, rode smarter, and dropped 15 pounds in 10 weeks, all while working a full-time job. And this isn't just anecdotal. A study from the University of Colorado showed cyclists using this exact strategy lost 40% more body fat than traditional endurance riders while improving performance. So why does cycling, one of the most calorie-burning sports out there, make it so hard to lose weight? The answer lies in a dangerous myth that most riders believe, and it's killing your results. Let's start by understanding why most cyclists struggle with weight loss, because once you grasp this fundamental problem, everything else will make sense. The cycling industry has convinced you that more training equals more weight loss, but this creates a dangerous trap that keeps you spinning your wheels, literally and figuratively. Here's what actually happens when you increase your training volume without changing your approach. You get hungrier, much hungrier. Your body responds to increased exercise by ramping up your appetite to match the energy expenditure. Therefore, you end up eating back all the calories you burned, often with interest. But it gets worse. Exercise apps and bike computers consistently overestimate calories burned by 20 to 30%. So when your Garmin says you burned 800 calories on that 2-hour ride, you probably only burned 600. But your brain uses that 800 calorie number to justify the extra food you eat afterward. This is where the first major conflict arises. Your instinct says to reward yourself after a hard ride. You've earned it, right? But this reward mentality is exactly what sabotages your weight loss effort. You come home from a 90-minute ride feeling accomplished, then consume a recovery shake, a larger lunch than usual, and maybe an extra snack later because you worked out today. By the end of the day, you've consumed 1,000 extra calories while only burning 600. Do this consistently, and you'll actually gain weight despite all your training effort. I learned this lesson the hard way with a client named Robert, a 42-year-old engineer who was riding 8 hours per week but gaining weight. When we tracked his food intake for just 1 week, we discovered he was consuming an extra 3,500 calories per week in post-ride meals and snacks. That's equivalent to a full pound of fat gain every week, despite his impressive training volume. But here's where the resolution comes in. Once you understand this dynamic, you can flip it to your advantage. The key is separating your training from your eating. Think of them as two independent systems working toward the same goal, rather than one system where exercise gives you permission to eat more. And by the way, if you want to lose weight through cycling without figuring it all out on your own, you can book a free strategy call with our coaching team using the first link below. We'll analyze your current approach and create a personalized plan that fits your busy schedule and goals. Now let's get back to the real strategy for cycling weight loss. The foundation of successful weight loss through cycling isn't about riding more, it's about riding smarter. This means understanding that different types of training have dramatically different effects on your appetite and metabolism. Most cyclists default to what I call moderate intensity purgatory, riding at an effort that's not easy, but not particularly hard either. You know the feeling. You're breathing heavier than normal, you can still talk, but it's not comfortable, and you finish feeling like you got a decent workout. But here's the problem. This moderate intensity is the worst possible choice for weight loss. It's hard enough to make you hungry and tired, but not hard enough to create the metabolic benefits that actually accelerate fat loss. You're stuck in no man's land, getting the downsides of both easy and hard training without the benefits of either. The solution lies in what exercise scientists call polarized training, spending about 80% of your time at genuinely easy intensities and 20% at very high intensities. This approach maximizes fat burning while minimizing the appetite stimulation that sabotages weight loss. Let me explain how this works physiologically. When you ride at truly easy intensity, what we call zone 2, your body preferentially burns fat for fuel. You can literally feel this happening. You're not breathing hard, you could hold a conversation, and you feel like you could continue indefinitely. This is your fat-burning zone. But when you push into that moderate intensity zone, your body shifts to burning more carbohydrates. This creates a cascade of effect. You deplete your glycogen stores, which makes you hungrier. You stress your system more, which increases cortisol and can actually promote fat storage. And you create more fatigue, which reduces your activity level for the rest of the day. Therefore, the counterintuitive truth is that riding easier can actually help you lose more weight than riding harder. But there's a catch. You need to be disciplined about keeping your easy rides truly easy. This is where most cyclists fail. I see this constantly with new clients. They understand the concept intellectually, but when they're out on the bike, their ego takes over. They see another cyclist ahead and speed up to catch them. They hit a small hill and attack it instead of maintaining their easy pace. They ride with a group that's going slightly too fast but don't want to be dropped. Each of these decisions pushes them out of the fat-burning zone and into the moderate intensity trap. The solution is to check your ego at the door and focus on the process, not the immediate gratification of riding fast. But easy riding alone isn't enough. Remember, we need that 20% of high-intensity work to complete the equation. This is where the magic really happens for weight loss. High-intensity intervals create what scientists call excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, or EPOC. In simple terms, your body continues burning calories at an elevated rate for hours after you finish exercising. A study from the University of Western Ontario found that cyclists doing short, intense intervals burn twice as much body fat as those doing longer, moderate intensity rides. The key was the intensity, 30-second all-out efforts followed by recovery periods. But here's where another conflict arises. High-intensity training is uncomfortable, really uncomfortable. It requires you to push beyond your comfort zone into a realm where your legs burn, your lungs scream, and every instinct tells you to slow down. Most recreational cyclists avoid this discomfort, preferring the false comfort of moderate intensity. However, the resolution is simpler than you might think. You don't need to suffer for hours. These high-intensity sessions are short, typically 20 to 30 minutes, including warm-up and cool-down, and you only need to do them once or twice per week to get the benefits. Let me share how this played out with another client, James, a 48-year-old marketing director. He came to me frustrated because he was riding 6 hours per week, but his weight had been stuck at the same level for 2 years. His training consisted entirely of moderate intensity rides, not easy enough to be recovery, not hard enough to create adaptation. We restructured his approach completely. 4 of his 6 weekly hours became truly easy Zone 2 rides. The remaining 2 hours were split between one high-intensity session and one longer endurance ride. The change felt dramatic to him. His easy rides felt almost too easy, while his hard session was genuinely challenging. But the results spoke for themselves. Within 8 weeks, he'd lost 12 pounds while actually improving his power output. More importantly, he was enjoying his training again instead of grinding through every ride in a state of chronic moderate fatigue. This brings us to the second critical component of cycling for weight loss, nutrition timing. It's not just what you eat, but when you eat it, that makes the difference. Most cyclists approach nutrition reactively. They finish a ride feeling hungry and eat whatever's convenient. But strategic nutrition timing can dramatically accelerate your weight loss. The key insight is that your body's ability to process and store nutrients changes dramatically based on your recent exercise. Immediately after a ride, your muscles are primed to absorb nutrients for recovery rather than storing them as fat. This creates a window of opportunity that most cyclists completely waste. Let me illustrate this with another client story. David was a time crunch cyclist who could only train 6 hours per week. He assumed that with such limited time, every minute needed to be high intensity. His training consisted almost entirely of threshold and VO2 max intervals. Here's the strategic approach. Within 30 minutes of finishing your ride, consume 20 to 30 grams of protein along with some carbohydrate. This kickstarts the recovery process and helps maintain your muscle mass while losing fat. But here's the crucial part. This post-ride meal should replace another meal or snack, not be added to your normal eating pattern. Many cyclists make the mistake of having their post-ride nutrition and then eating their regular meals as if they hadn't exercised. This is where those extra calories sneak in. Instead, think of your post-ride nutrition as part of your daily food intake, not as bonus calories you've earned. But there's another timing strategy that can accelerate fat loss even further: strategic fasted training. This doesn't mean starving yourself or doing epic rides without fuel. Instead, it means doing some of your easy Zone 2 rides before breakfast, when your glycogen stores are naturally depleted from overnight fasting. When you exercise in this glycogen-depleted state, your body is forced to rely more heavily on fat for fuel. Research shows this can increase fat oxidation by up to 50% compared to the same exercise done in a fed state. But there are important caveats. caveats. These rides must be easy, and they should be relatively short, 45 to 90 minutes maximum. I implemented this strategy with Michael, a 44-year-old consultant who could only train early in the morning before work. Instead of forcing down breakfast before his 6 a.m. rides, we had him ride fasted twice per week, then eat a proper breakfast afterward. Combined with the polarized training approach, he lost 15 pounds in 10 weeks while maintaining his busy work schedule. However, fasted training isn't for everyone. If you have a history of eating disorders, diabetes, or other metabolic conditions, you should consult with a healthcare provider first. And even for healthy individuals, it's important to listen to your body and stop if you feel dizzy, weak, or unwell. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the scale. Many cyclists become obsessed with daily weigh-ins, but this can actually sabotage your progress. Your weight fluctuates naturally by 1 to 3 pounds daily based on hydration, food intake, and other factors. These fluctuations have nothing to do with fat loss, but can create unnecessary stress and poor decision-making. Instead, focus on weekly averages and other metrics. Take progress photos every 2 weeks. Track how your clothes fit. Monitor your energy levels and sleep quality. These indicators often change before the scale does and provide a more complete picture of your progress. But here's where many cyclists make another critical error. They try to lose weight while maintaining peak performance. This creates an impossible situation that leads to frustration and eventual abandonment of their weight loss goal. The reality is that significant weight loss requires a calorie deficit, which will temporarily impact your performance. You might not hit the same power numbers during your weight loss phase, and that's completely normal. The key is accepting this temporary trade-off for the long-term benefits of improved body composition. Think of it as an investment. You're sacrificing some immediate performance for better long-term health, improved power-to-weight ratio, and ultimately better cycling performance once you reach your goal weight. But this requires patience and a long-term perspective that many cyclists struggle with. Let me illustrate this with the story of Paul, a 52-year-old accountant who had been cycling for 15 years but had gradually gained 30 pounds over that time. He was strong on flat roads but struggled on any significant climbs. His power-to-weight ratio had declined not because he was weaker, but because he was heavier. Paul was initially resistant to the idea that his performance might temporarily decline during weight loss. He wanted to lose weight and get faster simultaneously. But once he understood the trade-off and committed to the process, everything changed. Over 16 weeks, he lost 28 pounds using the polarized training approach combined with strategic nutrition timing. Yes, his absolute power dropped slightly during the weight loss phase, but his power-to-weight ratio improved dramatically. Climbs that had been torture became manageable. Group rides where he'd been dropped became opportunities to shine. Most importantly, once he reached his goal weight and returned to normal eating, his absolute power came back stronger than ever. The combination of improved body composition and consistent training had created a new baseline that was higher than where he started. This highlights another crucial point. Weight loss through cycling isn't just about the number on the scale. It's about improving your overall body composition, losing fat while maintaining or even building muscle. This is where cycling has a huge advantage over other forms of exercise. Cycling is resistance exercise disguised as cardio. Every pedal stroke works your leg muscles against resistance. When combined with proper nutrition and recovery, this can actually help you build lean muscle while losing fat. But this only happens if you're strategic about your approach. The key is ensuring adequate protein intake throughout your weight loss phase. Aim for at least 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight daily, spread across all your meals. This provides the building blocks your muscles need to recover and adapt to training while you're in a calorie deficit. But protein alone isn't enough. You also need to maintain the intensity of your training even while losing weight. This is where the polarized approach really shines. The high-intensity sessions provide the stimulus your muscles need to maintain their strength and power, while the easy sessions promote fat burning without excessive fatigue. As you implement this approach, remember that consistency trumps perfection. You don't need to execute every ride perfectly or hit your nutrition targets every single day. What matters is the overall pattern over weeks and months. Small, consistent actions compound into dramatic results over time. Also, be patient with the process. Sustainable weight loss happens at a rate of 1 to 2 pounds per week. Faster than that, and you're likely losing muscle along with fat. Slower than that, and you might not be in enough of a calorie deficit. Trust the process and focus on the behaviors rather than obsessing over daily fluctuations. Finally, remember that weight loss is just one benefit of this approach. The polarized training method will also improve your overall cycling performance, increase your endurance, and help you recover faster between rides. The strategic nutrition timing will boost your energy levels and improve your body composition. And the focus on consistency will build habits that serve you long after you reach your weight loss goal. The transformation isn't just physical, it's mental. When you prove to yourself that you can lose weight while improving your cycling, it changes your relationship with both food and exercise. You stop seeing them as opposing opposing forces and start seeing them as complementary tools for creating the body and performance you want. So as you head out for your next ride, remember, it's not about riding more or riding harder. It's about riding smarter, eating strategically, and being patient with the process. The results will come, and when they do, you'll wonder why you ever thought weight loss and cycling performance were incompatible.